Hey everyone, we thought we would try this outside,
Let's go to the other side.
but we think it might be too sunny.
Let's sit on the other side.
Is that better?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Is that better? Maybe just move that. Can you guys see us and hear us? Hi Sandy. We wanted you guys to see our view. Awesome. Hi guys. Hi Trent. Hi Molly. Our anchor drag alarm's going off. Hi Addie. Hi Hannah. Is this an okay view or would you guys rather us go inside? Okay.
All right. 50 degrees in Palm Bay. Nope. No thanks. It's like 85 degrees here. So yeah, that island behind us is actually Carnero Island. And on the other side is Isla Grande. Isla Grande or Isla Colón?
Isla Colón.
Isla Colón. And that's where Bocas Town is.
Yeah. Hi Ian from the UK. Well, everyone that has the cold weather, I hope you can appreciate this for the moment and not the snow. So this past week we had Gary's sister and brother-in-law here with us, and we just sent them home yesterday to Boston, where Marley said there was about 2 feet of snow. So hey everyone.
20 degrees in South Dakota. Ooh.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cold. Hey Felipe, hey Casey. 25 in Michigan. Yeah.
Sounds like it's cold everywhere.
Yeah. Is anyone any place warm?
Negative 32. I think that's the winner right there.
Yeah.
Negative 32.
I think Canada wins. Wow. All right, guys. So we just kind of wanted to give an update of where we are and what our plans are for the next few months. And currently we're still in Bocas Del Toro. And we actually have a pretty busy week ahead because this morning we interviewed 2 girls to join us as crew. Interviewed. Well, we had them on board to chat about them going through the Panama Canal with us. And we're looking to leave Bocas Del Toro by the end of the week, hopefully, and get to Cologne, where we will stage to get ready for the transit through the canal. Hey, Robert.
Yeah, wow. We're about a 1-day sail away from Cologne, which is the entrance of the canal. So it'll take us probably about a week here to get everything ready on the boat and reprovisioned, and a few things need to be fixed still. And then we plan to slowly bounce down through the archipelago up here for a couple days and then wait for good winds to do the overnight sail down to Cologne.
Yeah, so once we make it to Cologne, we actually have a family friend who is a tugboat captain in the Northeast US who will be flying here to join us to crew. So he will be demoted from his typical role of captain to line handler. But we're excited to have him on board and have him come help us with the canal. So, Robert, the crew will not stay on board after our transit through the canal. To be honest, we are a little skeptical of having crew on board for
what are you skeptical of?
That long of a journey. So the girls will actually be with us for 3 weeks from the time we leave here in Bocas till we actually get to Panama City on the Pacific side.
Yeah, they actually plan to continue on to Panama City and then get on a flight to Brazil. They're backpacking through Central and South America. So we think that'll work out good. It'll give us some help going through the canal, and it should be fun to have some new faces around for a few weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
Bo and Brandy are here.
Hi, Ivy from Seattle. What's the weather like in Seattle right now? Hi, Bo and Brandy.
My mom has to have the girls handled before. No, they really don't have much sailing experience at all. But we'll have a couple weeks to teach them everything they need to know before we get down to the canal. So it should work out good.
Yeah, we hope it works out. We had 4 people, well, 2 people, total of 4 on the boat last week with Gary's sister and brother-in-law here. And we did okay with the 4 of us.
It was fine.
It was fine. So our boat's a little small, but it worked out for 4 people on board. So it should be good. Hey, David and Stacy, where are you guys at right now on SV Calypso? Hi, Fawcett Majors from Virginia. Raining in Seattle, not surprised. Hi, Jack and Lori. Hi, Holly.
I can't see the screen. Can you?
Yeah.
Move that shade.
Okay. So once we cross the canal, we plan on staying in Las Perlas in Panama for probably about a month and exploring there. And then our plan is to head to Costa Rica. And then we are going to go probably Costa Rica straight to Mexico and sail in the Sea of Cortez for hurricane season. We hope. That's our plan as of today. And we really need to haul the boat out before we cross the Pacific. We have an ongoing list of things that we need to fix. So we're hoping to spend hurricane season hauled out in Mexico for a couple months, and then hopefully get back in the water in time to cross to the Pacific. So right now, Australia and New Zealand are closed to foreign yachts. Since we're, well,
everywhere in the South Pacific except for French Polynesia and Fiji are closed to yachts right now. So that doesn't leave many options for us to sail across the Pacific this year. We do know quite a few European boats that are able to go across this year because they can stop in French Polynesia and stay there indefinitely. And if you're far enough north in French Polynesia, you're outside of the hurricane zone. But for us, we would only have 90 days there, and then we'd have to move on. But there's really nowhere open to move on to right now. So
yeah. So for Hannah, that's watching from New Zealand, we want to come sail your way, but we need the country to open up for us first. So Floyd wants to know how often we're under power versus sail.
It depends on where we are. So here in Panama over the last few months, it's been pretty calm. There's a lot of days with basically zero wind. So we've had to motor around here to bounce between all the islands here quite a bit. But when we're doing our offshore passages, it's typically 90 to 95% sailing, and then just a little bit of motoring when the wind dies completely. But we try to sail everywhere we can.
Yeah. Now that we know how to sail, we would much rather be sailing than motoring around.
And we just got our spinnaker. So we found a used spinnaker in Florida for sale, and our friends Deborah and Evan on Reverie went and bought it for us and shipped it to us here in Bocas. So that should allow us to keep sailing when the wind drops. So we're excited to learn how to use that. We've been on a boat once that flew in a spinnaker, but it was like the second time we'd ever been on a sailboat, and we were just kind of along for the ride. So we really didn't learn anything. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how we do with that. I'm sure we'll make a big mess of it.
Yeah. Well, that's why we bought a used one, because if we rip it or have any issues, at least it's not brand new.
If we rip it?
Oh, when
we rip it?
Yeah.
Somebody asked, what's the difference between a wind generator versus solar? Jack? Well, solar's pretty good because it's cheaper for the number of watts you get. So, it's like $1 a watt for a solar panel, even a little less now. And for a wind generator, you'd pay quite a bit more for that. And the wind generators really only start to produce much power when the wind picks up to like 15 or 20 knots. So most people out here seem to have solar and then maybe a single wind generator added on. I don't know if you guys can hear that boat passing by, but the water taxis here buzz through this anchorage all day. They just passed in front of us. But what else? Any news on the autopilot?
Well, it's our brand new autopilot is on order, but unfortunately,
it's back ordered. It's still being made in the UK right now, and then once it gets built in the UK, it needs to be shipped to Miami, and then from Miami down to Panama. So we're not expecting it anytime soon, but we'll just get some crew and have them hand steer, and then they're less likely to break than our autopilot, I think. So
hopefully.
Floyd is Randy Essen.
Oh, hey, Randy. We would not have connected that name, so I'm glad you said who you are. Hey, Darren, Crystal, and crew. Where are you guys at now? We miss you guys. Oh, we actually have watched Sailing Up Florence's how-to with the spinnaker.
I just pulled it up and started to watch it, and I need to finish watching it later. And we need to figure out how to rig it to our boat. I think we need a few more lines and maybe a few more blocks that we don't have, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. Steven, when are we doing a show with Bo and Brandy? Well,
as soon as they sail here and catch up to us.
We're just waiting for them to come here. We tried to get them to come crew for our Panama transit, but unfortunately the timing just doesn't work out for both of us.
Do we ever fight? No, never. Yeah, of course, we have disagreements and arguments, and being in a small space actually helps, I think, because you don't have any choice but to solve it right away. So I think we've learned to just talk about whatever the issue is and move on.
Yeah, and sometimes one of us comes up here in the cockpit and one of us just stays down below.
We can separate by about 30 feet at most, so... But
yeah,
blame Benji. But Brandy say.
Yeah. So one of the really cool things that we've done here while we are in Bocas is we met up with a not-for-profit called Wasteless Worlds, which some of you might have seen some of our Instagram posts and Facebook posts that we've done with them. But we collaborated with them and Epic Water Filters from Colorado, and we actually had the biggest beach cleanup here last weekend in Bocas Del Toro that they've ever had. We had over 80 people, and it was pretty incredible to see that many people, locals, other sailors, just come together. And
yeah, it was really cool. We had a lot of expats here, a lot of locals here, and then we also had quite a few fellow sailors that came out for it. And we were able to get the bags for the cleanup and gloves sponsored by Epic Water Filters, and had a really awesome turnout. And even when we were there, people were just walking up asking if they could join the cleanup because they saw so many people out cleaning up trash. So it was a little eye-opening. We picked up something like 80 or 90 full bags of trash off of one beach in just 2 hours. So it's definitely a time well spent, but
yeah. So we hope to do some more of that as we travel on, just because it's a way for us to give back to the communities here. And it's really good to also educate some of the locals, because we've noticed like a lot of the locals, since there's nowhere for the trash to really go, they'll just like drink a beer and they'll toss it alongside the road because they think, well, where else is it? It's going to end up in my yard anyway. So it's really cool to kind of help educate them and be a part of the new recycling center opening here as well.
Randy asked how long total transit time from one end of the canal to the other. So it's done in 2 days. You go through the first set of locks the first day, and then you can anchor in Gatun Lake overnight. And then the next day you go through the next set of locks that goes down actually to the Pacific Ocean. So should just be 2 days. There's a little bit more of a process before that because you have to get measured and then wait for an advisor to be available and get scheduled to go through. So the whole thing will probably take us 1 to 2 weeks.
Yeah, we hope to be on the Pacific side by like February 20th. That's our goal.
Easy not to see me asked where are you all at now. We're in Bocas del Toro,
Panama.
Another question. Hi, Wendy and Joe McGraw. How are you guys doing? That's so cool to hear from you. Can't wait to see it. Next episode with the cleanup. The cleanup will probably be a couple episodes away.
Yeah, probably one more episode and then the cleanup.
And then Jaden Marie asked, have you seen many YouTube sailing channels in Panama?
Yeah, so actually there's a lot of us here floating around.
Yeah, down in San Blas, we met Zingaro, but he went the other way. We met Sailing into Freedom, and I'm not actually sure where he went off to.
Yep. And then Sailing Too Short, they are
Too Short's down in San
Blas area. And then
Parlay Revival was there in San Blas. We met Colin briefly.
Yep.
And then up here in Bocas del Toro, we met Calico Skies and Delos.
And we had a lot of fun hanging out with them. It was really cool to meet them in person. Delos is one of the first YouTube channels that we watched that actually like made us think that we can get out here and do it. So it was really cool to finally be able to meet them, and they're really chill people. So it was really cool. Oh, Island Man, how are you?
Stephen asked, are we going to Easter Island? I would love to sail to Easter Island. It is way out of the way of getting to anywhere, but I'm not going to rule it out yet. But I think we need a working autopilot before we attempt that one. We actually talked to James on Zingaro about sailing to Easter Island because he went there a couple years ago, and he said he loved it. So maybe.
Yeah, we've thought about it.
Won't rule it out.
Yeah. So when you get to the
Pacific side, where are we going?
Yep.
I think you talked about.
Yep. So once we get there, we'll go to
Costa Rica. We plan to head north to Costa Rica at first, and then we'll see from there. Mexico, maybe back down south. I don't know.
Yeah, we just know that
we handle our lives like 1 or 2 weeks at a time.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Stephen. Wow. Thank you. So
we need to have a beer to that.
Yeah. Cheers to that. Thanks, Stephen. You're awesome. That will go to our autopilot for sure. So what has been the hardest in adapting to cruising life? For me, I would just say, well, one, learning to sail, gaining confidence in the boat that it's not just going to fall apart when we hit like a big wave or something. And then just the day-to-day life of like getting groceries and doing bucket laundry.
For me, it was slowing down just because when I lived on land, I was go, go, go. Like I did everything super fast. And took me a while, but just like slow down. And if it doesn't happen today, it's not going to happen today. And if you go to the store during their hours and they're supposed to be open on Saturdays until 8 p.m., but they're not, that's just normal and that's life. And yeah, that was a bit of an adjustment. But once you get on that kind of lifestyle, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, for sure.
How do we handle our mail? So back when we were renting our house still in Florida before we sold it, we still had our mail sent there and we had somebody collect it for us and filter out what we actually needed from it. And now we have our mail sent to Brooke's cousin in Florida and they sort it out. And so like there was a debit card that I needed to get out of my mail there, and they actually mailed it to my sister, and then my sister brought it down. So what do we get mail like once every 6 months, maybe?
Yeah, not very often. Yeah, Jaden Marie, we're excited. We'll have sundowners.
The best tasting food the ocean has provided you.
Oh, I feel like Gary and I have different opinions on the best tasting food. For me, I feel like I'm a big fan of fresh tuna, so tuna would be my choice. What would yours be?
Lobster.
And yeah.
I can't get sick of lobster.
I can.
Easy ass boat size make. It's a nautical development and it's 40 feet long. We have a boat tour video in our YouTube that you could go see all the details on it.
Yeah, so Zach the diver, if you need an extra hand, I'm so ready to learn through doing. Yeah, so actually that's one of the reasons we're having the girls come aboard as well, is because we kind of want to know if having crew on board is for us or not. Sometimes just the two of us, we're kind of comfortable in our ways, and adding 2 extra people, we're just kind of seeing how that goes. So if it goes well, then we'll definitely open the boat and have crew on board in our coming months. We think that would be really cool. So we'll see how it goes, and then maybe we'll throw it out there for other people to come hop on, join us.
How long did it take for the slowing down to happen? I think I'm still slowing down. Like, I don't know where it ends. It's a progress. It's a constant progress.
Yeah.
Yes, it will be difficult to send a bottle of moonshine, but there's no shortage of alcohol in Bocas del Toro. I can tell you that much. This town is more of a party town than I think anywhere we've been yet.
Yeah, for sure. Jack says tea time. So tea time for us is cocktail time. So cheers to Jack.
Gib's here. Hey, Gib.
Hey, Gib. How are you?
Yeah. Any interest in north to Pacific Northwest? Yeah, I mean, all the way up to Alaska would be really cool, but it's difficult sailing to head up the Pacific coast that way. The predominant winds and currents flow from north to south along the western coast of the Americas. So even getting up to Mexico, I think, is going to be a not too enjoyable sail. So Gib's digging the beard again.
It's back.
I know. I can't shave it or something bad will happen on the boat, right?
Yeah. So Jack, Galapagos, we dreamed of diving in the Galapagos. The problem is it's very expensive to bring a boat in there.
It's actually more expensive to go to the Galapagos on your own boat than it would be to fly in there, because they charge you so much for being there nightly. They charge for the boat to be anchored. They charge for each person on the boat. And if you want to dive or anything there, they charge you for that too. So we almost feel like, since it costs more to bring our boat there, we'd rather just fly there sometime and be able to, see and enjoy it a little more, since we won't be worrying about the boat.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Billy and Andrea, the Bengals won, huh? That's great. I know football is going on right now in the U.S., and unfortunately, we knew that we weren't going to have Wi-Fi.
We tried to squeeze this between the 2 games.
Yeah, so thanks, everyone, for stopping football and joining us. Hi, Doreen. Kev's team lost. Sorry about that, Kev. So, Hannah, have you ever felt unsafe on the boat or worried about pirates? Yeah, there's actually been one time, actually, Gary's parents are watching this and they don't know about this story, but one time when we were in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we anchored off of a little island. And St. Vincent has sort of a bad reputation amongst sailors. And it was probably about 9 p.m. and we heard a boat come pretty close to us.
But with no lights on. This power boat came up with no lights on in the middle of the night, went up to the island that we were anchored off of, a completely uninhabited island. And we saw some headlights and some people get off. And then the boat just started kind of drifting around the anchorage around us. And they had no lights on at all. We could only kind of see like maybe their phones every now and then. But the people went off on the island. And then about 10, 15 minutes later, we heard some gunshots. Then the boat went back to the island. The headlights loaded back up on the boat. And
they took off.
And they took off. So we don't know what happened. We just sat there quietly, and I think we left first thing the next morning because it was just super weird. We think it was actually one of the police or Navy boats, but it was really, unmarked, unlit, sketchy. So we just kind of minded our own business and stayed out of the way.
Yeah, we're not sure. But really, we try to do our research beforehand, and we go to places that are safe for us. And like when we were sailing past the coast of Venezuela, we just turned all our lights off when we were sailing that way. It kind of went dark and just kept going.
The part of Venezuela we sailed past isn't really a bad spot in Venezuela. There's certain areas that are just known as trouble, so you just stay away from them.
Yeah. And we considered going to Guatemala and past like Honduras and Nicaragua, but there are some recent stories there that we've kind of decided
on the Caribbean side.
On the Caribbean side, we've decided that it's probably best for us just to not go there. So, Casey, do we feel that we are freediving or scuba?
Depends on where we are. In San Blas, they don't really allow scuba diving. So everything we did there was freediving. But, you know, like when we were in St. Eustatius, we were scuba diving 2 or 3 times a week. So it varies.
Yeah.
I'm hoping on the Pacific side we can get back into some good scuba diving.
Yeah, we hope so. We haven't been scuba diving since Colombia. Oh, no.
I did one with Delos here in Bocas Del Toro. It was a little reef and it was nice and a lot of little crabs and little shrimp and stuff to look at, but the water isn't that clear in Bocas Del Toro, especially this time of the year. This is really like the swelly time of the year. So they call it surf season now, and then the other half of the year they call diving season.
Yeah. Hi, Sailing Fresh and Salty. You're in Minnesota. Wow. Yeah, it's warm here. It's like 85. Oh, someone asked before, glasses or contacts. So we're split.
I have contacts in right now, and
I have glasses. So
I wear contacts just about every day. The only time I don't is when we're doing offshore passages, because I'm going to sleep and waking up every 4 hours. So I tend to wear my glasses when we're sailing offshore.
Yeah, and I tend to only wear contacts when we're snorkeling or scuba diving. So.
Favorite island? I don't know. St. Eustatius, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I think St. Eustatius is still the winner for us.
There's about 8 others that are close seconds, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say for me, my second favorite place we've been would probably be Colombia. Honestly, it surprised us a bit.
It's not an island.
Or it's a country. I said place I've been.
Yeah, I know.
What store or restaurant do you miss the most? I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and say Target.
Target, really?
Yeah.
No, not Target.
What's yours?
Wegmans.
Oh, Wegmans.
Yeah. How about like restaurant though?
Restaurant?
I crave mozzarella cheese sticks and cannot find them anywhere. So, Arby's. I could go for some Arby's mozzarella sticks right now.
I mean, and I'd really like some Taco Bell. So I think fast food restaurants is like mainly what we crave out here, though.
But we find plenty of local fast food to make up for it.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, it's warm where you are, Gib. Nice.
How long did it take to get used to? Oh, well, above that.
Oh, easy. Our goal around the world. Our goal is just to keep having fun, and wherever it takes us is where it takes us.
Yeah.
And
we might end up doing that, and we might not. But it's, we go wherever makes sense, wherever we want to see next.
Yeah, it's definitely not our goal to sail around the world, but
it's going to take us like 20 years at the pace we're at. So it's probably good not to have that as a goal.
We move pretty slow.
And COVID's kind of slowed everything down too. So.
Yeah.
How long did it take to get used to night watches?
I
enjoyed it right away. I'm not sure Brooke would say the same, but I really found peace in being alone in the middle of the ocean. I don't know that Brooke felt the same way at first.
Yeah, for me, I feel like it probably took me a year before I felt like I could handle the boat on my own at night. And I actually feel like I remember the time it happened. We were sailing from Beckway to St. Lucia, and I felt like we had some bad weather, and I didn't feel the need to wake Gary up and freak out. So that was like my turning point, I would say. But yeah, probably 6 months to a year for me.
How accessible is it for boat repairs? It varies a lot based on where you are. So actually here in Bocas del Toro, it's pretty straightforward and easy to get stuff shipped in from the United States. And there's hardware stores. I had to fix our propane system, just went out actually last week. So I was able to go to the hardware store here and pick up some fittings to piece it back together for now until we can get the proper parts shipped in.
Yeah, I feel like Gary has to MacGyver 90% of the things until we're in a major port or city where we can get stuff.
The biggest thing I think is just to be willing to keep going without we're getting crisscrossed by water taxis right now, if you can hear that. But the biggest thing is just to be willing to keep going, even with things that are broken, because things are going to break. And if you wait around for everything to be fixed, you'll just be waiting indefinitely.
Yeah. So Cypher, top 5 views. I don't know. We've seen so many great things, but maybe we'll do a top 5 like view video. That's actually a good idea.
Top 5 hikes.
Top 5. Yeah. Thanks, Molly.
Florida Keys or the Bahamas? I'd say the Bahamas.
Bahamas, hands down. The Keys.
Drive to the Florida Keys to see it. I mean, it is nice sailing there too, I'm sure, but I would spend my time in Bahamas over the Keys.
Yeah.
We've never sailed through the Keys. We have taken our powerboat there for a week back many, many years ago. And
it's beautiful there, but the marine life in the Bahamas wins hands down every time. Like, and still to this day, the marine life in the Bahamas is quite spectacular. Liver and onions. Yeah, we don't really eat. There's really not liver out here.
Tim asked, did we stop at Bonaire or Curacao? We did stop in Curacao, actually. We spent maybe 2 to 3 months there, and we got a lot of scuba diving in there, and it was surprisingly good. Yeah, it was nice. There's lots of walls, and you can pretty much just go anywhere off the shore there and dive. It's similar to Bonaire.
Yeah,
from what we've been told.
Jack and Lori asked if there are seasons. Here in Panama, it is always hot, which is why we look like this right now, because we've been sweating our butts off all day.
I just showered.
Oh, yeah, Gary showered, took his weekly shower. But, yeah, I mean, there really aren't seasons here where we are now in Panama. Did you... Hey, just me from Nova Scotia. Thanks.
Coming up this way. Yeah, we actually did talk about sailing up the East Coast, but... I mean, I'm from New York and Brooks from Pennsylvania, and we've seen a lot of the eastern seaboard of the United States. So for us right now, we thought while we have the energy to do it, we're going to go see the places that are harder for us to get to.
Yep.
But I would totally love to sail up to Maine and Nova Scotia, and yeah, that would be cool. Newfoundland.
Yeah. Lydia, we actually do have line handlers lined up. We talked about that earlier, but we have 2 girls joining the boat here from Bocas that will sail to Cologne, and we have a family friend who will be flying in as well. So we're super excited for that. Hi, Deborah. Glad you could make it. Hi, Evan.
That's right. Deborah said Bahamas, and they've sailed in both.
Oh, so. Yeah. There you go.
Hands down.
Hands down the Bahamas. Yep.
Good internet in the Bahamas. For working remote,
it
would be a challenge in a lot of the more remote places in the Bahamas, but if you stick to the more populated areas, yeah, there's plenty of Wi-Fi and fast internet and cell phones.
Yeah. I mean, the data plans in the Bahamas are quite expensive compared to some of the places we've been, but definitely doable. Oops. Just lost you guys. Can you guys still hear us? I think we lost you for a second.
I think we're good.
Okay. Thanks, Lori and Jack. There's been a few times we thought we would be dead too, but we've managed to get this far.
Jim asked for advice to find such a beautiful crew. Don't shave and don't cut your hair, apparently.
The 2 girls that we have joining us are beautiful as well. They're from Germany and Switzerland, actually. So we're excited for that. But yeah. Hey, Deja, how are you guys? Wow, so good to hear from you. Tahoe, we're planning a Pacific sail, but not in the coming months anytime soon.
Fawcett asked, how did you make the decision to move forward with the cruising lifestyle? We talked about it for so long, and then eventually one day we just said, enough talking about it. We're going to do it. And we sat down and we worked out a plan and set dates and just stuck to it. I think setting the dates and sticking to it was the big thing.
Yeah, I think so. We got some really great advice from Deborah and Evan from our first Buddy Boat Reverie, and they said, just get out here and do it. There will always be things that have to get done, but if you don't leave on the date you're saying, you're never going to leave. And I think that was really good advice, and something like that we would share with other people considering doing this as well. Is like,
there's always a reason not to do it or not to leave this year or whatever. And
and we even face that, like, here leaving Bocas, like there's always, like, there's things that want us, like, to keep us here, but at a point you just have to say, okay, we're gonna leave on Thursday, and you just have to go because things will never be fully ready on the boat. Hi, Todd from Indiana. Hey, Tim. Yeah, I mean, Canada, Hawaii.
So that would be the better route to get up to Alaska and the Pacific Northwest, would actually be to go to Hawaii first, then up and over. But yeah, I don't know if the Pacific is still closed after this next season. Yeah, we'll consider going anywhere.
Yeah,
anywhere that looks cool and has life in the water. I think those are our only two requirements.
Yep, pretty much. We're not picky. There's a lot to explore out here, so we want to see everything that we can. MTC Perry, how long did you have your boat and build experience before your first big solo voyage? So we had the boat for 6 months before we crossed over from Florida to the Bahamas. But that was only like a 2-day sail. So our first big sail.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what you call it. Our sail from the Bahamas to the U.S. Virgin Islands was
10 days.
10 days, and we'd been sailing the Bahamas for 3 months.
For 3 months.
So
yeah.
You learn quickly once you're out here doing it every single day.
Yeah.
Top 5 staples for provisioning: sugar,
flour, yeast.
Yeast. You're gonna go with yeast.
Yeah, eggs. Sugar, flour, yeast, eggs. Baking powder. I don't know, like literally anything to make bread and to bake with. And I feel like, and I'm actually working on our provisioning list now, provisioning for until we get to the Pacific side, for 5 people basically. So we'll see how that goes. And I actually think I'll probably post that list on our website for people to take a look, just to see like what kind of things we buy out here and what we use. Oops. Oh, thanks, Serene and Kevin. You guys are awesome.
Hannah asked about
how do we scroll up?
Sailing when COVID started. Yeah, when we were in the Bahamas, we were tossing around the idea of just, going back to Florida because it was very scary at that point. Nobody really knew what COVID was. But we had quit our jobs. We didn't really have anything really to go back and do in Florida. So U.S. Virgin Islands was open. We decided, let's just go there. We can always turn around and sail back from there. That's the thing, right? Like, from anywhere, you can always turn around and sail back.
Yep.
So
exactly. Peter, our favorite island so far is Statia, with Colombia being our second favorite country. We talked about that a bit earlier.
Happy with the size of our boat. Yeah, no, I think for us, 40 feet is big enough, maybe even a little bigger than we would need. We've got everything we would want in here. And
yeah,
I mean, it would be nice to have a bigger boat because it would be more comfortable for sailing. And,
the thing is, the bigger the boat, the more expensive it is. And I mean, we're on a budget. We try to keep everything as
40 feet's plenty for a couple.
Yeah.
And occasional crew. I think 40 feet is the right size.
Yeah, I think so.
Any equipment specific stuff on the boat that would always just have them cruising for life easier? Brooke would probably say her Instapot.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of dependent on having a generator to run it.
Yeah. A water maker is a delight to have on board. And places like San Blas in the Bahamas without a water maker would be pretty tough. So I would say solar, water maker.
My favorite piece of equipment on the boat is still the dive compressor. It's totally not necessary, but it's allowed us to do diving in places that we would have never been able to otherwise. So I think the scuba compressor is my favorite.
Well, yeah, that's definitely my favorite toy.
Also the least necessary.
Yeah, but I also a good dinghy, a good car to get you back and forth is also super important.
That's true. We're able to get around and see a lot of different places outside of the main anchorages because we have a dinghy that we can hop in and get there quickly. Whereas we see a lot of other boats like anchored in this anchorage right here, for example, and they're rowing to and from the island, which works fine and gets you to and from the island. But if you want to go, run off that way for 10 miles and explore the mangroves, you can't really do it without a dinghy with a bigger outboard. So that's definitely been really nice to have.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys watched our cost video that we put out last week, but we were super excited to share that with you guys. And I was just wondering if you guys have any questions about that and like the cost of sailing or anything. Oh.
Wait, what? Give me mods. I don't know what that means.
I don't know. Is it like spam or something?
Books to read about the Bahamas regarding sea life and what can eat and whatnot.
Yeah,
we have a book that's like Florida and Caribbean reef fish identification guide or something like that, and it basically tells you what every fish is and whether it's any good for eating. You can pretty much eat anything. There's really not much that's dangerous to eat. It's just a matter of whether or not you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I think I will post that provisioning list. I think a couple other people asked about it as well, so we'll definitely do that.
Top 5 books to have on your boat.
Ooh. Well, I don't really know. Our books here change all of the time because as soon as we read one, we trade it with another sailor out here or give it to a local. Yeah. So I don't know. We don't really have any like instructional
for me, I would say the service manuals for the engine, for your water maker, for that stuff. Like those are the only books that I really use.
Yeah.
But
hey, greetings from Colombia. Thanks for sharing Colombia with us. We loved it there. It was great. Oh, water maker or autopilot? Ooh, that's a good question.
I'll take the water maker. Yeah, I'll take the water maker over the autopilot.
Yeah, I think so, honestly. I think I would rather have the water maker than autopilot as well.
Billy asked, are you looking into a new autopilot? Yeah, so the autopilot drive that we have is the Garmin Class A drive, and it's good for boats up to about 28,000 pounds. And I'm pretty sure our boat fully loaded is a little bit over that. So what we're going to do and what we ordered is the next step up to the hydraulic drive, which is their Class B drive. But instead of ordering it from Garmin, I ordered it straight from the manufacturer in the UK because it's about half the price that Garmin sells it for. Means it's going to take a little bit longer to get to us, but that's okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tim. We will definitely have sundowners on you.
I think I need to grab a beer.
Yeah, Gary's going to grab a beer, actually. If we had no savings or from the sale of your house, would we still do it? And the answer would be absolutely. We probably would have bought a boat, obviously, that needed more work. One Life was pretty much ready to go when we bought her. And we were very fortunate to be able to buy a boat like her. But like we mentioned in our video, you can do it on any budget and you can make money out here. Gary has cleaned bottoms of boats. He's played poker games.
I did that for beer.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is there's always a way to make money and to keep going. And that was one of my biggest things was how are we going to continually be able to afford this? But there's always a way to keep going and make money out here. So
a video on how you fish. Yeah, we've talked about doing that actually. And maybe on our next passage, we can actually like film the whole setup of how we fish and teach the girls.
Yeah. And actually we'll have 2 more hands to be able to grab cameras. So that'll be super helpful. Normally when we're fishing, it's like a chaotic mess where it's like we don't think of grabbing a camera or we're not able to. So
filming while sailing with no autopilot and fishing, we need about 4 more hands.
So Pete, what was the most expensive place to bring our boat?
In terms of like customs and immigration?
Maybe Colombia.
Probably Colombia. We'd have to look back and see which one was the actual most expensive. The Bahamas is also pretty expensive now.
Yeah. So the thing about Colombia is every time you move the boat, you have to get a zarpe. And sometimes it was anywhere from $80 to $150, depending on where we were going and what agent we got that day. So it was, yeah, I would say Colombia was probably the most expensive. as well as Statia was pretty expensive there, and those were our 2 favorite places. So all well worth it. So I'm gonna turn on the light.
It's good stuff. Favorite galley cookbooks? I don't use any cookbooks. I don't think Brooke uses recipes either. Sometimes she'll look one up on her phone, but
when we have data, normally it's like we just wing it, and then if it turns out good, we save it for another time, and if not, then
warm water for showers. So we have a water heater, and it is connected to our engine coolant loop. So when the engine runs, it heats up hot water for us. So it works out really nice, because after we motor into an anchorage is usually when we want a hot shower. And it's a little tank. What is it? 5 gallons? 6? I think it's 6 gallons.
Yeah.
It's enough for both of us to have a quick hot shower.
Yeah. Molly.
Spreadsheet and provisioning forms. Yeah.
Holly, thank you so much. We really appreciate all the support, you guys. It's awesome. How did we meet the girls? Well,
we met one of them actually at the recycling center volunteering one day.
Yeah, and we kind of started talking to her, and we just got like really good vibes from her, and we hit it off pretty well. So, and then she had a friend that wanted to come along as well. So that's how we met them.
Do you feel like you've ever been taken advantage of by being foreigners with pricing? Well, yeah, there is definitely a gringo price and a local price in a lot of places. So taxis are notorious for that. You pretty much just need to, one, ask before you pay for something, or ask before you buy something what the price is. And if you don't like it, then, do something else. But I think you also just kind of need to accept that you're going to pay a little more for things every now and then. And it's just part of it, right?
Yeah.
Things are so cheap sometimes anyway. Like, okay, they might ask for $8 for a cab ride that should have been $5, but it's okay,
Yeah. So we just, and sometimes we really know we're being taken advantage of, and we'll say like, oh, why are we getting the gringo price or something? And they'll laugh and be like, oh, okay. Well, you're right. So it just depends. Yeah, Todd, some of the ports are a ripoff. And the thing is like when you get somewhere and you're talking to a customs officer, it's really hard because you can't negotiate. And like, what are you going to do? You just arrived. You can't be like, oh, you're ripping me off. Yeah. So, yeah. We
didn't particularly avoid going to Aruba. We just kind of skipped over it. I think it was just, we had spent a lot of time in Curacao, and I think we believed Aruba would be more similar to Curacao, and we were kind of looking for a change of pace. So Colombia was definitely a change. Yeah. So that is something we struggle with is which places to skip. It's not that we didn't want to go to Aruba. It's just, you can't go everywhere. So how do you choose which ones you actually skip over?
Yeah. Fishing video. Hey, Dane from Chicago. How's the weather there? Is it cold? Yep, their country, their rules. That's right, yeah. But you know what? It's okay.
We looked online at 100 boats over the course of a year or so. And then when we actually were like really shopping and ready to buy a boat, I think we actually saw 12 in person, roughly.
I would say 12 to like 20.
Yeah.
But people say like once you find the boat, you'll know that's the boat. And we kind of thought, oh, right, like whatever. And when we found this boat, we were like, this is the boat. And we pretty much like on our drive home. So I feel like if you're looking, you'll definitely know when you find the one.
Aruba has donkeys. Oh, we haven't seen donkeys yet.
Yeah, we have, haven't we? In Barbuda.
Barbuda had donkeys. Yeah, that's right. Barbuda had donkeys. Here in Panama, we've seen some really cool new wildlife. I'm excited to edit the footage of it, but monkeys, sloths, red frogs. Yeah, it's really cool.
Cool.
Most unexpected COVID tests.
Yep.
So we had no idea that COVID was going to happen, and that in some places we'd have to pay $200 each to get a test to be able to check into a country or leave a country. So that one was definitely
And our next unexpected would have to be our shaft and strut repair that we had to do from a mistake that we made. So
The zookeeper, yeah. We kill every lionfish that we see. And in a lot of places, spearfishing is not allowed, but I might still take a lionfish here or there just to get them off the reef in places like that.
Yeah, and one thing that's really cool here in Bocas del Toro is the Wasteless World guys that we're working with. They're starting an initiative here. So lionfish look really scary, and a lot of the locals don't know that they can eat them because they think that they're poisonous.
They're actually just venomous, not poisonous. So the flesh is totally fine to eat.
Yeah.
And they're really good. So in some places we've been able to eat a lot of lionfish. The Bahamas we did, in Curacao we did. Haven't seen many here in Bocas.
Yeah, but we try to take all the lionfish we can because 1, they're tasty, and 2, we're helping the reef. So it's a win-win. Hi, Rich from Indiana. Can't read.
Indiana. 5-year plan, enter this lifestyle. To afford, prepare for the cruising life. To afford it, I would say just start saving and living as if you're already cruising. Because if you stop going out to eat and stop spending money on those types of things, you'll be much more prepared for when you actually do leave to go cruising. And then for preparing, learning how to sail is a big one. Learning how to fix stuff on the boat. Scuba diving is one, we do it for recreation a lot, but it's also extremely useful for cleaning the bottom and fixing things and recovering things. So I would say just spend time on the water and time around boats as much as possible and around boat yards.
Yeah, around boat yards.
Do you eat barracuda? We have eaten barracuda. It's not our favorite fish, actually.
It's okay, and we eat it if the locals eat it, but yeah, we don't love it. And most of the time, if we catch a barracuda, we throw it back. I guess that's us being fish snobs, and we shouldn't do that, but just the way it is right now, unfortunately. So it's a great layout, center cockpit with aft cabin. Yeah, we really love our layout, and we've not seen many boats with this layout, so it's been really great. Hey Drew, wow, 18, you're so young. Definitely buy the boat.
Go for it.
Go for it. You don't need a lot of money. You will figure it out as you go.
You can work along the way.
I think our only regret was that we didn't do it sooner. Mark, thank you so much.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Have you been in the Sandblast Islands yet? Yeah, we when we first sailed from Colombia to Panama, we went to the Sandblast Islands. We spent like 3 months there, and we actually did run into Plucky and James. We pulled up to an anchorage at one of the uninhabited islands, and some people were on the beach hanging out, and they shouted over to us and just said, "Hey guys, come on over." And it was James and Plucky. Super friendly, super nice. Their crew was awesome. Yeah. It was cool to hang out with them for a few days there.
Yeah.
Where did we meet? We met at work.
Yep. So we met in Florida at an engineering firm. Gary was obviously in engineering, and I'm in finance. So
obviously, what are you trying to say?
Obviously. Well, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people know that that's what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that we have experience with center and aft cockpit, we haven't really spent a lot of time on aft cockpits. We hung out on Deborah and Evan's boat, Reverie, in the Bahamas a lot on the aft cockpit.
And on Bo and Brandy's
boat in the aft cockpit. But we haven't really done any passage making.
Haven't sailed on it. Really
done a long sail on an aft cockpit. So
for living and life on anchor, I would say center cockpit, but I cannot speak as for sailing.
Yeah, I think we'd have to do a long sail on an aft cockpit before we make that decision.
Yeah.
Use the dive compressor as a hook dive system. No, but I just fill tanks and then clean the bottom with a tank on my back.
Do you argue over budget or? We don't argue over our budget because it is what it is, and we have only so much we can spend, and we know the longer we can stretch out our budget, the longer we can stay out here. So
we're usually on the same page about it. There's times where one of us wants to splurge on something, and we give the other one a crap about it, but you got it, right? Like, what's the point of doing this if you're not doing or, you know, getting the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
Right. Then you kind of got to let go of the money concerns every now and then and just go for it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Dallas was great, Dane. They are just like their videos, and it was very cool to meet them, and we drank a lot of their moonshine. It was a lot of fun hanging out with them.
It was nice to hang out. We had quite a few dinners with them on our boat and on their boat, and just sat around and chatted about sailing, and it was really nice.
Yeah. Would love to see a new boat tour video.
Bjorn resembles. Do you mean resemble that comment or resent that comment?
Drew, do you mean like you would like to see other like new boats, like tours, or just like an updated boat tour video of our boat? David says center 100%, center cockpit 100%. Yeah.
How often do you have to haul out, and when is your next haul out, and where? Do you know? So it depends. The growth here on the bottom in the Caribbean is intense. Like, it's way faster than even in Florida. So I think every 2 years to 3 years is reasonable in the Caribbean. We plan to haul out before we go across the Pacific.
Yeah.
So we're thinking up in Mexico this summer will be our next haul out, but we'll see. And then after that, it might be 3 to 4 years after that one. Did we meet Taylor? No, we didn't get to meet Taylor. She had already left by the time we ran into Delos here.
Yeah. Any plans to upgrade to a catamaran? Unfortunately, a catamaran is just not in our budget, and we really are happy with our boat and our choice. So there is no new boat or new to us boat in our future at all.
Yeah, I mean, we've got everything we need here on One Life. There's some things that we want to do on One Life to make our sailing a little easier. Getting the spinnaker was one of them, and then the next thing we need is a whisker pull. Well, autopilot. Mm-hmm. But we know we can live without that. But we don't have any whisker pull or spinnaker pull to help us go downwind. So when we're sailing downwind, it's a little difficult for us right now. So we've met a lot of people out here that have crossed the Atlantic from Europe to here and have looked at their setups and how they sail downwind, and we've got some ideas on how to make it happen. We just need to find the right parts.
Yep, definitely. Monohulls do tend to be safer. That's right, Todd. We did sail on Tudor's catamaran, and it was lovely. But that's the only catamaran we've ever sailed on, so I don't know.
In a hurricane, I'd rather be on this boat than a catamaran, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
but
we know our boat and we trust her, and I don't know. Like I said, no new boat in our future.
Thoughts about sailing from Grenada to the ABCs and back during the summer months? So it's certainly doable. Grenada to the ABCs, from everyone we talked to that did that sail, said it was absolutely blissful. Wind behind you and current behind you. To get back to Grenada, I think you'd be better off sailing north up to like USVI or Puerto Rico or BVIs, if that's where you want to go, and then from there sailing back down to Grenada. I think that would be much easier and more enjoyable.
Yeah, definitely. Dane, yeah, Cat isn't always an upgrade. You're right, and we might have looked at a new monohull last night. An Island Packet 40.
We're always looking at new boats and browsing.
We're not going to get one, but we do look at new monohulls, and
it's always cool to look at, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about the cruising life suiting kids? Know any cruising families? We have met a number of cruising families out here, and the kids all love it.
And they are the best. They're the best kids.
We've met kids from ages like 2 all the way to 17 on boats, and yeah, it's been really nice to see families. We hung out with Wyro and their 2 kids a lot in the Eastern Caribbean.
Yep, and Mothership Adrift, they're also another big YouTube channel.
Yep.
We hung out with them a bit here in Bocas, actually. They have kids.
Yep,
they're amazing.
And then Jake on Busy Bees, a little older.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've met families with 3 or 4 kids, and we've also met families with just 1 kid. So
yeah, so if you're thinking about having a family on a boat, kids, I think it's a great idea.
battery question. Okay, lithium AGM or lead acid, what's our power usage? We have Lifeline AGM batteries. We replaced them in Grenada a year and a half ago now. And we have 3 of their 8D size batteries. So about 750 amp hours. Our power usage is roughly 150 amp hours a day. It's kind of tough to gauge. It depends a lot whether we're editing videos or not. Our biggest power draw now doing the YouTube thing is the laptop and editing videos. And our second biggest power draw is the water maker. But we typically only run the water maker when we're motoring or have the generator on.
Yep. We have not met Distant Shores or Sailing or Rick Moore. I think Rick Moore is like in San Andreas now.
He was here before we got here.
He was here, but unfortunately we missed him. We would have loved to have met him.
I'm not sure where Distant Shores is now.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, boat kids are so great. Did you like the island packet of the full keel?
You know, I've never sailed on a boat with a full keel, I don't think. So, I don't know. I feel like you really can't have too stout of a boat, right? Like when you're offshore and the wind picks up to 40 knots and the seas are breaking over the deck, I feel like you really can't have too heavy built of a boat. Nobody ever regrets having too heavy of a boat.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Savage Squad. You should definitely check out this new boat.
You know, we don't get to do many day sails out here.
Yeah, and
we always talk about it with other cruisers to like, hey, let's hop on your boat and go for a sail for the day. And it never really seems to work out.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that is actually.
We need to make it a point to do that more.
Yeah, and I think that would make good videos as well. That's a really great idea, Dean.
We still never got to sail on Saoirse.
Yeah.
Someday.
Have you ever seen abandoned places from the water?
Yeah. There are abandoned resorts all over the place, especially in hurricane-prone areas like Barbuda.
Yeah, Barbuda had a lot of abandoned places, and the Bahamas had a ton. Yeah, Savage Squad, maybe send us an email. We'd love to kind of chat about that. That's
Ghost
cool.
Hunting abandoned and scary places.
Yeah, there was a lot of that in the Bahamas with hurricanes. So.
How about that place up above Little Norman's Cay in the Bahamas?
Yeah.
That place was so sketchy. I mean, it looked like somebody left in the middle of like, I don't know, like everything was left behind. It was really weird. We see some strange things. That hotel in Curacao, the quarantine hotel, that one's supposedly haunted too. It's an old quarantine hotel from back in the slave trade days. And anyone who was sick on the ship when it arrived would go to this building and be quarantined. And of course, most of them died there because they took all the sick people and put them in a hotel, in like not a hotel, a hospital. So yeah, we've seen some pretty interesting places like that. Send us an email and we can definitely point you to some of those.
Yeah, our email is sailingonelife@gmail.com. We'd love to chat more about that.
Bowen Brandy says they owe us a sail. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys do. Mm-hmm. We'll wait for it. We'll meet you in the Pacific. And the abandoned barge. Yeah, the abandoned barge. Abandoned
barge.
Well, there's like a couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sandra, if you're going to bring anything down to hand out to the Hurricane Islands, it would be like. So one of the things we've learned out here is anything. Clothes. Soap.
We went to town and bought boxes of pencils, actually, because in some of the more remote areas around this archipelago, there are indigenous communities. And the first thing that the kids ask for when they come up to your boat is pencils. And we thought that was, one, really cool, that's what they want, is a pencil to be able to do their schoolwork with. And two, really sad that we didn't have any pencils. So now we're stocked up on pencils because they should have pencils.
Yeah, we stocked up on things like coloring books, colored pencils, crayons, activity books. Basically, like just anything that we can give out. Like we recently had some people come up to us and ask us for soap and shampoo. So basically, like, just the basic necessities of everyday life would be great to give out and have on hand. Oops.
Too much light.
We're trying to figure out the lighting. Sorry, guys. Island Packet was a cheap copy of Cape Dory's sailboats.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Interesting.
Yeah, abandoned content. That would be cool. We really haven't thought about that.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's new. Can we sleep peacefully at anchor?
I do.
Yeah.
I sleep pretty well at anchor, pretty much regardless of conditions. It was interesting to have my sister and her husband on board for this past week, because when we were in a really calm anchorage, they slept great. And then if the anchorage had any sort of motion to it at all, I think they hardly slept. So you definitely get used to it.
Yeah, I would say my first 3 months at anchor, I didn't sleep a full night at all. But it's definitely the movement, the sounds of the boat take getting used to. But now I sleep soundly at anchor.
Get asked if we have an Amazon wish list.
We do not.
We don't. We have some camera equipment that we've been eyeing for a while. And since we started the Patreon thing, we plan to use that money to upgrade our equipment. So we've got a microphone that we're looking at ordering pretty soon.
Yep.
And maybe some underwater lights for our diving will come soon. But
yeah.
Do we plan on circumnavigating the world or stay in the Caribbean? We are going to go through the canal and leave the Caribbean. I don't know about circumnavigating, but so far we haven't been inclined to backtrack, really.
Yeah.
We're kind of always interested in chasing something new. So that might lead us to circumnavigate. Who knows?
Yeah, but we don't have plans either way, honestly.
I don't know if you guys can hear the music, but we're anchored right off of downtown Bocas Town, and the bars blast music till 3 or 4 in the morning, and we sleep right through it. It doesn't bother us. But if you're one of the people that needs quiet to sleep, don't anchor outside of Bocas Town.
Bocas Town is not the place. So have we been a place that was maybe not so inviting for cruisers? Do you mean safety-wise or convenience-wise? And then I'll answer that question.
I'll answer it both ways. So
okay.
Convenience-wise, Saba is the most difficult place for cruisers ever.
Yep.
You can't really anchor anywhere. There's a mooring field, which is basically in the middle of the ocean, exposed to everything. And it's like a 2-mile dinghy ride just to get to where the dock is. And then once you're at the dock, to get to the town, it's like another 2 miles up the mountain. So Saba is a very difficult place to visit, but well worth it. And then for not so inviting in terms of personal stuff, the locals, the west coast of St. Vincent was a little rough. It was pretty aggressive. We walked around and were whistled at, and it just seemed a little hostile towards us being there.
As well as St. Lucia.
St. Lucia was a similar vibe. Just the people that come up here on their boats trying to sell things are very pushy. They might try to charge you for just helping you tie up to a mooring. And it was, beautiful countries, and we didn't have any real problems, but it wasn't the same welcoming, friendly vibe that you might get in, say, St. Eustatius or the Bahamas or Colombia.
Yep. Yeah, Casey, we'd love to receive some island supplies for the kids and stuff. They pretty much ask us even for shirts and clothes, anything. So
maybe we can figure out a place ahead in our travels that we can send stuff to, and somewhere that can collect it, and then we'll be able to pick it up and go deliver it.
Yeah, Savage, we do need a webcam with good low light quality.
Yeah, we're just using the built-in webcam on the laptop.
Yeah, we're very basic out here. Sorry, guys. Randy, you guys. Oh, Randy, cheers to you. Yes, get out here. Bahamas. Cancer does suck. I think.
Good on you for fighting that. And
yeah, kick its ass. Get out here. What part of Bahamas did you enjoy the most?
For me in the Bahamas, it was the Ragged Islands, the Umentos and the Ragged Islands. It's probably one of the most remote areas in the Bahamas, and the amount of life in the water there was completely unmatched.
Yeah, the same for me. The Ragged Islands, absolutely stunning. No one around, very peaceful.
But I also enjoyed the Berries and Eleuthera. The Exumas are a little busier, but there's some beautiful, beautiful spots in the Exumas.
Yeah, I really also enjoyed the Berry Islands. Berries really pretty. Yeah.
How do you handle the heat below deck in Panama? By sweating. We do have. So when we bought the boat, there was 2 air conditioners, one that did the salon and the forward cabin, and one that did the aft cabin. And when we lived on the boat at the dock for those 7 months, we used the air conditioning every day. But since we've left, we don't really use it very often. When we happen to fire on the generator for a couple hours because it's been cloudy or something like that, then sometimes we kick the air conditioning on, but it's actually not that hot here. Colombia was far hotter. Being in the marina in Colombia was brutally hot, but around here there's usually a little bit of a breeze, and in fact we wake up a little chilly some mornings. You had a blanket on.
Yeah, I did.
Yesterday morning when I woke up, you were covered in a blanket. So
you get used to the heat. I mean, we're like, I think we're just sweating so much. We're used to it. Doug, any NFL playoffs being shown there? No.
I think there are a couple sports bars here where you could probably find the games, but not on One Life.
Yeah. Dean. Yeah, one thing we've learned is when a local asks for something or asks you to go do something, even if it's something that like you're maybe not so keen on doing or you're a little skeptical of. Our
new rule is just like you always
say yes.
If somebody asks you to do something in a place, just go do it, right?
Yeah, if they ask you for beans, give them beans, because you never know like where that might take you. And we've seen a lot of really cool things out here by just
by being friendly.
It
opens so many doors.
It does, yeah.
Do you get regular health and dental screenings? No, but we did get checked up when we were back in the U.S.
Yep. So we were back in the U.S. To sell our house in April of 2021, and we had all of our screenings done then. So maybe the next time we go back, we'll do it all over, or if there is another place that we can get like annual checkups.
But that said, you can get checkups anywhere in the world. There's doctors just about everywhere.
Yeah.
Some of them are very traditional doctors with plant medicine, so you might not want that. But like here in Bocas, there's doctor's offices in a hospital, and you can easily go in, and it's very reasonably priced. For medical emergencies, how do we handle that? With super glue, mostly. But no, we've been fortunate that we haven't had anything major yet, but we basically have our retirement savings accounts set aside, and that's our medical emergency fund.
And we also do have a pretty well-stocked med kit on board. We recently added an EpiPen to that, and if any of you guys are thinking about doing this, we highly recommend making sure that you have an EpiPen in your med kit.
One thing that you did not leave with that you wouldn't sail without now.
An EpiPen. I think that goes hand in hand, actually. Yeah, we didn't leave with an EpiPen, and we wouldn't sail without one now.
I mean, there's almost nothing that you can't keep going without, right? Like, there's very few things that you actually need to have on a boat, right? Mast up, keel down,
people in, water out.
Water out. Those are the only things that you need.
Yeah. How many hatches do we have in the aft? So we have 2 hatches above, and we have 2 port lights. 4 port lights.
4 port lights, 2 on the side and 2 behind the bunk.
Yep.
It gets a pretty good airflow through the aft cabin, but it's actually much better in the V berth and the salon, because the cockpit kind of blocks the airflow to the hatches back there.
Yeah. Hey, Danielle.
Yes, our physical and mental health.
The stress is gone, and that I feel like. How do we get monthly prescriptions? So there are actually, we actually are not on any monthly prescriptions, but there are pharmacies in most of the islands that can get you all of the basic things that you need. So if like all of the basic things that you need. So if like in Grenada, for example, even maybe without a prescription, you can get basic things on a monthly basis. Otherwise, we're pretty lucky. We have someone who is in the medical field who has said she will send us some things.
Doug wants to know what brand of beer I'm drinking. This is Balboa, which is, I think, the oldest beer or the first beer brewed in Panama. It's not terrible. To be honest, the beer in South and Central America isn't anything to rave about. It's okay. It's your basic lagers, but it's not easy to find like a good microbrew IPA or something like that. Yeah. But a cold beer is a cold beer. So
hey, Paul and Sue, we're excited for you guys to get back out here. Heading to the Bahamas in March. You guys need to sync up with Reverie.
Yeah, maybe you'll see them there.
How's your pinky?
It's all healed now, right?
It's all healed. 100% fine. Do our meals get tiring having the same things? Honestly, we don't have the same thing very often.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, when we go to different places, there's different food that's available in the different supermarkets. So you're kind of forced to buy different things and learn how to cook new things. We're constantly trying new foods. Like, what was the vegetable that we made the other day with Miguel?
Oh, chocos.
Chocos.
Which is like a green between a mix, like between cucumber and potato. So
if you're willing to try different fruits and vegetables in the Caribbean, you'll never be bored because there's always something new.
Always something. I think we lost connection. I don't know. Can somebody let us know if you still hear us or see us? That'd be great. How about bugs on the boat, mosquitoes or no-see-ums? So that's a really good question. And honestly, on the water with the breeze, we don't have that much of a problem with bugs. I think we lost you guys.
We're back.
Oh, we're back? Maybe.
Okay.
Bye, Gib. Bye, Gib. If you're still here, we'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Island Man.
Oh, thanks, Island Man. Cheers to you. Thank you. Okay, good. You guys can still hear us.
Bugs on the boat. So sometimes it's pretty bad, but for the most part, it's usually not too bad with bugs. If you don't anchor right next to an island, they usually don't fly out if there's any breeze at all. And when they are bad, we've got screens in our overhead hatches. So we close all of the side port lights and just open the overhead hatches with screens, and it's tolerable.
Yeah.
How do you keep enough alcohol on board? Well, rum is cheap and rum is everywhere. So
yeah, although we don't like drink. I mean, right now we're drinking wine and beer, and sometimes we don't always have that, but we always have rum. You can always find rum or some kind of homemade liquor from the locals. So we've never run out. we've never run out.
Thanks, Bill. Cool.
Okay, cool. So we think we're back now.
The data service here is good and fast when it's working. And in fact, in Panama, I think it's the cheapest of any country we've been to. So we can get unlimited data plans for $5 a month. And it's 4G, so it's fairly fast. It just sometimes drops out altogether. But when it's working, it's pretty good.
Yeah. So if you guys want to keep chatting, we're down for it. I don't know if you guys have any more questions for us or anything you want to learn more about. Yeah, so Mark, that's really interesting that you say that. So when we first started this, another sailor told us that in order to get to know a place, you have to get to know the locals. And we meet so many sailors out here that only stay next to a town, only talk to each other. And the thing is like you'll never get to learn a culture or anything if you're only talking to the other sailors around. So we really make it a point to go out, talk to locals, and see what we can get into. So that's cool that you mentioned that.
Perfect, Peter. Yes, we do. We support everyone's choice to live however makes them happy.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Mike. Hello. Where in Florida are you? True. I've ran aground. Yeah, true. We have. Honestly.
We bumped bottom. Well, have we run aground? We dragged into the bottom.
We have. Yeah, we've drug onto the bottom.
We've never actually sailed or motored into the bottom.
Correct, but we have made our way onto the bottom.
We've bumped the bottom while anchored twice.
Yeah.
Both of the bottoms. But we've never actually run into the bottom, which I guess is okay.
Yeah, not on purpose.
Oh, spear guns. How long do I have to talk about spear guns?
Oh boy.
Okay. Heading to the Bahamas. Okay, in the Bahamas, you can only use Hawaiian slings or pole spears. So basically, it can't have a trigger that you pull. So like regular spear guns where you load the band and then you swim around and you shoot, you can't use those. But you can use a rubber band on a pole or Hawaiian slings, which are like underwater bows and arrows, basically. So you don't need anything crazy, but I would say getting a 6 or 7 foot pole spear will definitely help out. Any shorter than that, and you'll have a hard time getting close enough to the fish to hit them. But that's my short answer to spear guns.
Oh, God, yeah. Were one of you more into starting cruising than the other? I would say that Gary was more into sailing, but I was more into traveling.
Yeah, I think I started looking at this idea of cruising probably before Brooke did and kind of threw the idea out there every once in a while, like, hey, we could travel like this. And
so it was the traveling that caught my attention, not necessarily sailing.
Brooke still says that she's a traveler that sails to get there.
Yep, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, it's all the same.
Yeah. So we have a freezer on board. We do. We are fortunate enough to have a freezer on board.
Our freezer and fridge is actually one refrigeration unit. So there's a divider in our box, and the side with the freezer plate gets down to freezing temperatures, and the other side just stays at refrigerator temperatures.
Yeah. I'm going to go refill my wine really quick because we still have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
If that's okay with everyone, just hold tight.
You mentioned having a good dinghy. So we do tow the dinghy when we're sailing inshore. We have davits on the stern that we hoist the dinghy when we're sailing inshore. We have davits on the stern that we hoist the dinghy when we're sailing offshore. And we do not keep the engine on the dinghy all the time. We have a bracket on the rail. So we do take that off and put that on the rail sailing offshore. Easy, nude sailing. I mean, sure. You do whatever you want out here. There's really no rules. Addie asked, I'll wait for Brick to get back to address her spear gun, Addie. But no, she hasn't shot any fish yet. Yes, Bo and Brandy mentioned to bring a snare for lobsters. So in the Bahamas, you can actually spear lobsters, but you want to be careful because if they have eggs, you cannot spear them. So I find it best to use a snare, and then you can grab them, check them to make sure they're big enough, and check them for eggs and put them back if they're not dead from being speared. Have you ever been sick from eating so much fish? No, we do not get tired of fresh seafood. Sometimes when the freezer's loaded up, we find something in the bottom of the freezer that's been there for a while, and we have to, fry it or something. But we love fresh seafood. Yeah, I think I'm a traveling sailor and Brooke's the sailing traveler. Do you guys think living on a sailboat with a dog is possible? Absolutely. And we actually almost left with a dog, but unfortunately he passed away just a few months before we left. But it's definitely possible. It depends somewhat on where you sail to, how easy it'll be. In the Caribbean, it's definitely possible. In the South Pacific, I think it's a lot more difficult. I think maybe our connection might drop out again. Hopefully we're still chatting here.
Yeah, it says our connection is unstable again. Sorry, you guys.
Do we tend to lose spears or tips? Yeah, I've had to replace spear tips a few times, so I would definitely bring a couple spares of that with you. You can also just file them to resharpen them usually. And spare bands, because the rubber bands will definitely degrade in the sun and salt. It wears down on those rubber bands. So you can actually just buy like a coil of the rubber tubing and then make your own spares.
Did we lose you guys?
Messages are still coming in, so I think we're good.
It says our connection is lost, so still good. Okay, good.
Been after the last couple of years, but not just found the right match. Yeah, Mike, it definitely can take time to find the right one.
So I would say I think we lucked out, but we found our boat after 6 months of lure boat after 6 months of looking
aggressively looking, like almost every other weekend we were out looking at boats. Do tropical lobsters taste different? Yeah, so they're actually a different species. Down here, they're called spiny lobsters, Caribbean spiny lobsters. And there's no claws, so you don't get the claw meat, which I think is one of the best meats of a lobster. But the tails are they taste the same. I think maybe the texture is a little tougher for the Caribbean ones. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say so. We would love to collab with Bo and Brandy as well. Unfortunately, right now our plans are just going in different directions, but they're some of our best friends out here, and we hope to hook up with them again one of these days.
Oh, Addie asked if you used your spear gun yet.
Addie, I have not used my spear gun yet, unfortunately. So here in Bocas, there's a lot of protected areas that spearfishing isn't allowed. So hopefully when I get on the Pacific side, I'll spear something awesome.
Randy asked what's next. Through the Panama Canal and heading north up to Costa Rica is our immediate plans. Feeling about towing a dinghy with a motor. Our motor's pretty heavy. It's a 20 horsepower, 100-pound motor, and we've towed it in some pretty rough conditions. I would think it's okay as long as it's firmly attached, but when we do our longer passages, we always hoist it. Do we have a radar? We do have a radar. It was on the boat when we bought it, and we use it pretty much only at night
on
passages and to check for squalls.
And I would say it's worth it. It's a good way to see not only storms, but also other boats. We've
picked up other ships on it that were not on AIS. When we sailed from Curacao to Colombia and passed by Aruba, there's a fuel anchorage where they basically offload fuel ships there. So a lot of those ships were anchored and had hardly any lights on. And we picked them up on radar before we picked them up on AIS. So it was useful for that.
Yeah, not necessary, but useful for sure.
Lightning's a tough one. There is almost nothing you can do about lightning.
There have been times when we've locked our EPIRB and our cell phones in the microwave during a lightning storm.
As a makeshift Faraday cage, but...
Yeah, otherwise...
We don't hold on to the mast. We don't touch the mast or the rigging when there's lightning around. But other than that, there's not much you can do.
No. And in San Blas, So we lived in Florida for 10 years? And the lightning in San Blas was the most serious lightning we have ever seen. It was terrifying some nights.
Rainy season in San Blas is not a joke. Like,
yeah. Yes, I'm back, Rich. How do we handle taxes? So
taxes? We're in Panama. We don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah, no. We so our IDs and everything are still in Florida, so we file all of our taxes still in Florida.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a gray area whether we're residents of Florida or not now, and how that all works. But I'm pretty sure as long as we file tax returns, nobody's really going to bother us.
Yeah, so we're just going to continue filing our taxes in Florida. We have like not much income, but yeah, regardless, filing in Florida for at this point.
The worst passage. What was the worst one? I haven't hated any passage. Some of them have been more difficult than others, but at the end of it, I appreciated them. So it's tough to think about one that I didn't enjoy. Our sail to here in Bocas was rather unpleasant.
For me, I think my worst sail was Santa Marta to Cartagena. And that was because we had the 2 girls on board, and I really felt responsible for their safety. And we ended up having very bad weather, and I did not like that. Not because I was scared, but I felt really bad for them, and I just wanted to make sure that we got them to the next port safely. So that would be my worst passage.
Is this a permanent lifestyle? We don't know. We don't have a planned endpoint, but we also don't plan to keep going forever.
Yeah, I mean, we know we'll have to go back to work, like real jobs at some point. Maybe.
Maybe. But for now, we're just happy doing what we're doing, and we try not to worry too much about 5 or 10 years from now.
I think we'll just figure it out as we go.
Yeah. The lightning was absolutely crazy. We met at least half a dozen boats that had been struck by lightning in the San Blas Islands.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's definitely a reasonable thing to avoid going there until after rainy season.
Yeah, and we were actually warned that when we left Colombia, some of the other sailors were like, you should probably wait until after rainy season. We didn't listen. Maybe we should have.
To be fair, we met boats in Colombia that got struck by lightning too. There's plenty of lightning there too. So it's just one of those things that, I mean, you can't worry about it. It is what it is. It strikes where it strikes.
Yeah, it's one of the risks we take. And hooking a set of jumper cables on. Oh, that's for you. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, people do all sorts of things. People hang chains off the back of their boat sometimes, and from what I've read and studied, there's almost nothing that will for sure prevent damage from a lightning strike.
Yeah. As far as home defense against pirates and weapons, when we left Florida, we took the stance that if we're going to sail into an area like that, then that's the risk that we take. We avoid those areas. And also, if we do get attacked by pirates, the weapons we would have on board would not save us. And
yeah, I mean, what are 2 people with maybe a handgun going to do against a boat or multiple boats with 10 or 20 guys with assault rifles, right? I just don't believe it's really gonna help you. Sure, it might ward off a petty theft or something like that, but we're really not too keen on the idea of having to shoot someone anyway. So
yeah, I mean, we've talked about it, and I think if we did get approached, we would stand in the cockpit with our spear guns. Maybe they wouldn't know that they're spear guns or something, but
we have spear guns. We have a flare gun. We have a machete. We have plenty of things to defend ourselves with. But there's a limit to how far we'll take that, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And also, going into a place like Colombia, for example, when you go to customs, they actually come on board. You don't want to have a gun on board in Colombia. So it's a tough subject for sure.
is there a limit for how long you can be out of the country? So there's no limit for how long you can be out of the United States, but we do have limits in every country we go to. So in Panama, we were given 6 months. In other places, it's been 3 months. So it varies based on the country that you're going to and where your passport is from.
Yeah, I would say 90 days on average is typical in most places we've been. Yeah. Have we thought about...
Plucky was one of the ones that was struck by lightning.
Yes, yep. He was. Have you thought about work you both can do to keep income? We have. And I think that we both can work remotely. Like we mentioned before, Gary's in engineering, I'm in finance. So definitely both able to work remotely. And I think if it comes to the point where we can either work remotely or we would have to go back to our land life, we would definitely choose to work remotely. We would figure out a way to make it work.
Hi from Stacia.
Stacia, oh man.
Cheers to Stacia.
Seriously, yeah, for sure. Oh, thanks, Drew. Actually, we love that too. Like we've seen bigger channels that even like on their videos, they don't reply to every comment. And that's something that like we love being like personal and talking to everyone. So we try to. Hopefully
it doesn't get out of reach.
Yeah,
for us
I think like
point.
We don't want it. We like our small group. Thanks, Siren Song.
Wasp spray will shoot 20 feet. Yeah, that's one that would definitely hurt.
I don't think we even have any wasp spray.
We don't have any wasp spray. I would not want to be shot with wasp spray though.
That's hilarious though. Good idea, Steve.
That's a good question from Fawcett.
Oh yeah, that is a good question. So can we each single hand or are you dependent on both doing it? So when we left, I was 110% dependent on Gary to sell this boat. Like when we sailed from Florida to the Bahamas, if something would have happened to Gary, I think I would have just like curled up in the cockpit and like gave up on life. But now
I didn't know what I was doing either.
well, I thought he did know. He was confident. I thought he knew. Now we can definitely single hand the boat.
I think Brooke could get the boat into the next port. I don't think you would necessarily want to.
Oh, of course.
Pull anchor, and go on a passage by yourself.
I 100% would not want to, but I'm confident in my abilities that I could get myself to the next place safely.
Yeah, I would be okay with doing a single-handed passage. I think I'd enjoy some aspects of it, but it's not something that I have to do. If a situation comes up sometime where, it makes sense for me to single-hand a passage, then I would do it.
Yeah, I would not get the boat there as fast or in the same way that Gary would, but I could definitely get us to the next port by myself.
A stiff brandy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. A stiff brandy, yeah. Thanks, Shopper Resolve.
Thanks for being here and chatting with us.
This is actually it's a pretty cool way for us to stay in touch with you guys. And when we have Wi-Fi like this, we love to do it.
I love all the questions. Like it really makes us consider what we've gone through for the past 2 years and reflect on it.
Yeah, so
it's actually
keep the questions coming. If you have anything, we're not shy. We'd love to answer anything. So keep them coming.
Gerard, we still do not have health insurance. We had health insurance when we worked in the United States, but of course, when we quit our jobs, we lost that. And we don't have any plans to get any because health insurance plans in the US don't cover you when you're outside of the US. And healthcare costs here in Central America are quite reasonable. So I think maybe we'll look at some sort of catastrophic plan when we get to where we're a little further away from healthcare. Like in the Pacific, for example, it might be a little more difficult to get healthcare if we need it. So maybe a repatriation and evacuation healthcare plan would be something we'll look at getting.
Yeah, we looked into a plan, a scuba diving plan as well. But unfortunately, because we are outside of the U.S. And in one place for longer than a vacation, they won't cover us out here. And that's what we found to be the case with a lot of health insurance, is unfortunately.
Recommendations for a beginner sailboat for coastal cruising. Whatever sailboat you can get now.
Yes, 100%.
Like it doesn't have to be the biggest, the best. If you can afford a sunfish, get a sunfish and go sail around. Like if you can afford a 25-foot, Pearson or compact or something like that, just
get it and do
go.
it. Yeah. Whatever experience you can get beforehand, no matter what it is better than nothing.
Does tax require it? And you get not anymore.
Yes.
So yes, previously you were penalized for not having it. Although I think since we live outside of the United States, we would get away from that. Mm-hmm. But that has been repealed.
Yes.
Do you guys ever worried your dinghy will get stolen at a dinghy dock? Yes. Dinghy theft is a legitimate concern.
Yeah, dinghy theft is like probably 90% of the theft out here, honestly. Even
the theft against boats.
Yes, right. And even from our boat at night. So we always lock our dinghy and we hoist it at night when we're at a place like we are now in Panama.
Yep. Dinghy docks tend to be pretty safe, especially the busier ones, right? The more people that are coming and going from the dinghy dock, the safer it is. I think most dinghies that get stolen actually get stolen from the boat.
At night.
At night, where somebody will just come up and cut the
painter
line and drift off with it.
Yeah.
And then they take the motor and abandon the dinghy. So that actually happened to our friends on Elixir in Colombia in the Rosario Islands. They forgot to lock their dinghy to their boat one night, and when they woke up the next morning, it was gone. They found their dinghy on the beach, and the outboard was gone. So it does happen, but we just lock it and move on, right? Like there's no point in worrying too much about it. So do the few things that you can do to help protect it and get on with it. Mm-hmm. If it gets stolen, it gets stolen, right?
Yeah. Any hopes and dreams that don't have to do with sailing, personal, non-sailing goals? Oh, that's a really good question, actually. I think like a personal goal for me is just to see other cultures. And I'm really passionate about people. I love meeting new people, and I want to meet as many people out here as possible, whether that's by land, by sea. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think even beyond that, like making a difference somewhere we go. So we talk about it a lot where we're travelers, we're, well-off Americans out here sailing around to see these places. But what can we really do to help impact a place and make lives better rather than just coming in as tourists? So we've been trying to do that more and more with some cleanups and the stuff with Epic Water. And I think that we want to keep going that route, and maybe it looks like a nonprofit of some sort someday. I don't know, but we're just gonna kind of see where it takes us.
How many cameras are we using now? So we're really basic on our cameras and our videos.
So we just got a new GoPro. So we have the GoPro 10 now. We also have a GoPro 8. And the GoPro 8, the lens cover actually fell off and it got water in it, so it's a little sketchy now. But the Hero 10's been really good. We really like that. And then we also have a drone. We have a Mavic Air, original Mavic Air drone. And then we have a Canon DSLR camera with a couple different lenses. So nothing.
We're very basic on making our videos, and we hope to do better. But I think when we left on this journey, really we're starting to make the videos for our family and friends and anyone who wanted to follow along. So having the best camera gear obviously is expensive, and it's not one of our priorities.
It hasn't been. But now that we're making some money from YouTube and Patreon, we're gonna put all of that right into camera gear so that we can keep improving it.
Yeah.
Here's audio. So this is the microphone that we're using right now. We use it for our voiceover as well, and it's just a cheap. I think it was like $50 on Amazon for a USB microphone.
Yeah, I think we've had quite a few complaints about like our video quality and our audio, but like honestly, we're doing the best with what we have, and
we can't just go to the store and buy a new microphone. Yeah,
there's not like a Best Buy here where we can go and like upgrade our camera equipment. So it is what it is, and I feel like the people who want to watch our videos are the people we want to have watching them. And if you're going to diss us for our poor audio quality, well, then maybe you need to go watch like one of the bigger channels. Like that's just not our thing.
We'll get better as we.
Well, and we'll get better. Yeah, like we're trying to get better, but
it's not going to be overnight.
It's not going to, yeah.
Boat insurance, do's and don'ts, have or not have when needed. So it is needed sometimes when you go into a marina. Our last video, I think Brooke did a really good job of talking about when we had insurance, when we didn't have insurance, what our cost was. There's a pretty good segment in there about it. The answer to safe towing a dinghy with the motor, yeah, we do tow our dinghy. As long as it's reasonable conditions out. If it's, 30 knots and breaking seas, then no, we're not towing the dinghy. But around near shore and coastal, yeah, we tow the dinghy with the outboard on all the time.
Yeah.
Cost comparison of the water maker versus auto steering. Probably about the same. If you have nothing, like no autopilot or no water maker parts at all, probably $3,000 to $4,000 to install either one of those.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Holly. Like I said, we're doing the best we can with what we have, so we appreciate that.
The sailing community is quite different from being on land. At least our experience has been quite different. Where, yeah, neighbors will help you on land too, but in the sailing community, people will go way out of their way,
above and beyond,
way out of their way to help you. And I
think that's something I didn't realize before we left as well. Is like the sailing community is very close, very helpful, and
people will risk their own lives, their own safety to help you out.
Yes, 100%.
Without thinking twice about it, over and over again. And we've done the same for other people. And it's just, we're so vulnerable out here on the water and, subject to weather and conditions. And it's just anything that we can do. It's
you have to help each other out here, and that's how we survive, right? So we always know who are actually sailors and who are just like I don't know, liveaboards or something. Charter captains will not help you.
Well,
and I hate to say that, not all of them, but there's definitely a difference between charter boats helping you and liveaboards and cruisers helping you. It's a goal. Oh, Rich, thank you so much. Thank you.
Dane's only complaint is he's not here with us someday.
Yeah.
What personal item would you not live without and must have on land or boating? I don't know. That's a tough one.
That is tough.
I could go without pretty much any one thing. I couldn't go without this right here.
He's lying. Yeah, I don't know that. I can't really think of one thing.
Hey, Cassie.
Cassie, hey.
That's cool. Good to hear from you. I hope you and Gary are doing good.
I hope you guys are doing good.
I bet it's nice and cold in Virginia too, like everywhere else in the U.S. right now.
Oh, thanks, Billy and Andrea. And that's actually like what we're going for. We kind of want our videos to be real and personal. So it's cool that you guys feel that way. Thank you.
Quickly, and it absorbs moisture so quickly that it smells.
It's really hard to wash.
The dry fit polyester type shirts it absorbs moisture so quickly that it smells.
It's really hard to wash.
The dry fit polyester type shirts are so much easier to deal with.
Anything dry fit or lightweight is the
I still prefer to sleep in a cotton shirt, but I try to wear the sun rash, sun guard shirts as much as possible.
Yeah, definitely. Wool. Siren Song, actually, we don't really know much about wool on the boat, but we've heard that wool is quite great.
I think wool would be a little hot in Panama, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Robert, thanks. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. But
like this chat.
Yeah. I hope you like it. It is what it is. Oh, it's fireproof and warm and wet. Oh, are we back? Or do we lose you guys?
Yeah.
We might have lost you guys.
I think we're back now.
Yeah. Are we back? Can someone let us know? Uh-oh. I think we're gone. Okay.
Oh, there we go. Mold. Yeah. Mold is a real problem. Everything that you have on a boat will be mildewed and moldy eventually. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, I think I didn't realize how much white vinegar I would go through on a boat. Vinegar is great for combating mold on the boat, and we go through tons of it. Oh, we're back. I feel okay.
Yeah. It's just a little delayed.
We're a little delayed.
Do I miss regular plumbing? No, not really. But one thing that's interesting is that it's very difficult to find boat plumbing parts because on the islands and in Central America, all of the plumbing in houses is PVC. So if you go into a hardware store looking for any sort of, polyethylene, PEX connectors or anything like that, you're just not going to find it because everything is done with glued PVC. But I actually just fixed our shower today because with the spinnaker that got sent to us, we had a couple other little fittings and parts included in that. And then I was working on our propane plumbing today too, and that I was able to find parts for here in the hardware store.
Yeah, so Steve, you're right. Charter captains are not so bad. We agree. I feel like
it's that responsibility to the guests that kind of, I get it. They're doing everything they can to make sure that their guests have a good week. But sometimes that means, infringing on other people's space or, just, I don't know. It's different. It's a different thing. The cruising lifestyle and the charter lifestyle are just two different things.
And we totally get it. And we respect both sides. Definitely.
I love Defender. And before we left, ordered all sorts of stuff on Defender. And then also when we were in the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, we were able to order on Defender and have it shipped there. But it's just getting the stuff from Defender to us now. That's the problem.
So for example, we had Reverie go and buy the spinnaker for us, which was used, and it cost us $490 for the spinnaker, and it cost us $300 to get the spinnaker here. So shipping outside of the U.S. is just very expensive. Even if it's like cargo freight, it's still pretty pricey.
Can you use diluted bleach to clean the outside of the boat? Yes, you can use bleach. I would caution against it if you have newer gel coat on the boat. But an older boat like ours, bleach isn't going to hurt anything. So, yeah.
Yeah, I personally try not to use it because of the reef. That's why I would rather use vinegar. But bleach is a great thing to do mold as well.
Do you have any paper charts? We have 0 paper charts. So as far as navigation goes, we use Navionics on our phones and our tablet. And then we also have Garmin charts on our chart plotters. And between those and guidebooks, we tend to get enough information to get around. In San Blas, for example, all of the charts were basically useless. And the only thing that was really good was the guidebook.
Which was technically a paper chart.
That is true. I mean, it was paper charts, but it's a book. We don't have full size paper charts for navigating passages.
Yeah.
But yeah, local guidebooks are absolutely crucial for finding little spots and getting around safely.
Inflatable bottom or rib for occasional use?
Depends on what you want to do with it. So for us, for loading up scuba tanks and running 3 or 4 miles out into the open ocean and scuba diving, a rib for sure.
100%.
If you're not going to be doing that kind of stuff and you're just trying to get to or from the dock at town and an occasional ride around, then an inflatable bottom is fine and will store a lot easier.
Yeah.
coastal navigation class.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Good for you.
We never have actually taken any navigation courses or anything. We kind of learned by having power boats in Florida, and we just started
learning by doing.
We started small, and we, stayed around the rivers, and then we'd go off the beach a little bit, and then eventually we worked our way out to where we were fishing 40, 50 miles offshore. And we've kind of learned just by baby steps over years and years.
Yep. So electronics handling the marine environment.
So
not great.
So the marine electronics have all been fine.
Yes.
But cell phones, laptops,
hard drives,
chargers, that kind of stuff definitely takes its beating. We try to keep them in as dry a place as we can, but it's just we're surrounded by moist salt air, so everything corrodes.
Yeah.
Favorite snorkel maker? Oh, Doug, I think you asked that earlier. I remember that, and we missed it. But favorite snorkel maker? Oh, Doug, I think you asked that earlier. I remember that, and we missed it. But for freediving, I have a Cressy mask that I like a lot. And I think our scuba masks are both Scuba Pro.
Yeah, so it's fine. I have not had any problems. So we would say Cressy for snorkel gear. It's like mid-range, not too expensive.
What I would suggest is going to a dive shop or a snorkel shop and trying on quite a few of the different masks, because some of them will just fit your face better than others. So trying them on is definitely a good idea.
Definitely.
For leaving a boat for 6 months on land in Florida. Yeah, we spent a lot of time before we even just left the boat in Puerto Rico at the dock, just to clear out everything and make sure that we came back to a boat that wasn't completely covered in mold and bugs and everything else.
So we wiped the boat down with vinegar. We left vinegar jars out on the boat. We got rid of all of our food.
Yeah, we got rid of all of the food, unplugged everything, left the solar panels connected to keep the batteries floating.
Yeah, just
took down all the sails, pretty much just, it's a lot of work, but taking everything down, storing it, putting it away.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
It definitely helps.
It's worth the work before than coming back to having mold and bugs on your boat. So
did we buy the guidebooks locally? We bought the Bahamas book before we got there, and then we've
traded along the way.
We trade with other sailors that are headed in opposite directions, and yeah. Siren Song, are you on Starlink on your boat right now? If you are, I want to learn more about that. I'm assuming it only really works when anchored pretty calm, but I'd love to hear more about that. Although we also kind of enjoy disconnecting on long passages. It's kind of nice to not have any internet service at all. When we were hanging around Delos for a couple days, they've got, of course, the big Viasat dome and can turn on and off their internet service whenever they want anywhere. And that was kind of cool. But I asked them, I said, how about when you guys just want to disconnect? And Brian said, well, I just flip the breaker and turn it off. And well, yeah, it is that easy, right? So
yeah. So Randy, COVID, it's actually been a pretty big factor on where we go and what we do. In the beginning, we had to have a lot of COVID tests. We were unvaccinated in the beginning because
there were no vaccines.
There were no vaccines, and we weren't able to get vaccinated in a foreign country as U.S. citizens.
Being vaccinated has made it much easier to get in and out of places now.
It has.
I wouldn't say it's a requirement yet, although in Colombia, for example, if you were not vaccinated after we left, they implemented a new rule that if you were not vaccinated, you basically couldn't leave your home. So it's definitely going to make it easier traveling internationally if you are vaccinated.
And it's saved us a bit financially because being vaccinated, we don't have to pay for COVID tests everywhere we go, which have ranged anywhere from free to, I think the most expensive was in Antigua. and that was like $150 each. So it's
the beard does not get in the way when diving. Really, I don't have any trouble with my mask sealing. I don't, whether I shave or not. It's pretty much always fine. I don't know. So grease that I have that I use on my pumps and parts.
And it seemed to work fine too. He didn't have a complaint. So
the St. Lucie locks are closed. Interesting. Are they closed for work
or for COVID or?
Oh, Robert's on Starlink at his house too.
Oh wow. Okay. Oh, wait, no, that's two different.
Oh, Robert's on Starlink at his house still.
Oh wow. Okay. Oh, that's two different.
Yeah, two people.
Yeah.
Siren songs on it, and so is Robert. Very interesting. Yeah, it would definitely be nice to have.
Oh, dang, that's actually a good idea, and I never thought about that.
A few-minute live chat. Yeah, we always send a float plan.
But to do a live chat, that would be cool. That's a really good idea.
Our favorite anchor type, we have a Mantis 65-pound. They're original, they're M1 anchor, and it's been great. We really don't have any complaints about it. I'm laughing at Bob's comment.
Bob, do you have a beard? I don't know. Like, what is your job? What does your bank account look like?
No job. No job. Beard and long hair.
No
if you
job.
Can beat
beard.
That, you got it.
I mean, do you have a man bun? That would be like a qualification. Kidding, of course.
Do you prep easy to grab food before a passage? Yes, I should say Brooke mostly prepares a whole bunch of meals before we do a passage, so we can quickly just grab them out of the fridge and throw them in a pot and warm them up.
The difference between prepping food and not before a passage it's a game changer, honestly. We've done a few passages where I thought I would like wing it with food and like just make it as we're going. Because like how hard can it be? But make it before. It'll make your life so much easier.
What do you think? It's been 2 hours.
3 months for maintenance. See, 3 months for maintenance.
We're at 2 hours.
Yeah. So do you guys want to keep chatting? Are you guys ready to go?
88 people in here still.
Yeah, like we'd love to answer more questions if you want to keep them coming. Or
propane. So propane has been fairly easy to find, but difficult to get, if that makes sense. So you can pretty much always find it somewhere, but it usually requires like taking the tank somewhere, dropping them off. You might get them 2 weeks or 3 weeks back later. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but luckily for us, we carry enough propane to last us 4 to 5 months, so we don't have to deal with it too often.
Yeah, actually here in Bocas Del Toro might have been one of the more challenging places to get propane. So we literally dropped our tanks off, and then they had to ship them to the mainland, Panama, to Panama City, and we got them back like 2.5 weeks later. Okay, it's the mainland. Yeah.
Mainland Panama, yeah.
And it was quite expensive, so we have like 6-pound tanks, and they were $23 each.
Yeah.
So it all depends.
We basically paid what you would pay in the U.S. for a 20-pound cylinder, but for a 6-pound cylinder.
Yeah. Yeah, Dana, our spear gun with its sharp tip.
More videos of dolphins? Yeah. We probably have lots of videos of dolphins. We've actually talked about just putting together like footage of dolphins and turtles and just making one long video for people to just sit there and stare at like underwater wildlife.
Yeah, we love the dolphins too. Also, hi Uncle Jim and family. We love you guys and miss you.
Yes, we do have a soda stream, and no, you cannot get them refilled easily. We were able to find a spot in Curacao and get them refilled, but we had been selling for maybe 3 or 4 months before that with all of them empty. So yeah, it's really nice to have, but plan on it being difficult to get them refilled.
Yeah, and we actually, so an example, when we were in Statia, we gained some extra SodaStream cylinders because they're not able to get them filled there. So we grabbed three more, and had those filled in Curacao. So you kind of like collect them and then get them filled when you can.
Doug asked, do we carry bungs on board? We do have a bag full of wooden bungs in case of a through-hole issue. Hopefully we never need to touch them, but I know exactly where they are and I can get to them in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
What type of refrigeration do you have?
That's a question for you.
So, or an AC. So we do have an AC unit in the aft cabin. It's nice when we happen to kick on the generator, but we don't run the generator all the time. So it's like the air conditioning's on for maybe like an hour or two in the morning when we do run it. In refrigeration, we have a system built by another cruisers company. It's called Cool Blue. And they have a website so you can look it up. It's a pretty nice unit, really. I'm pretty happy with it so far. We've had 1 or 2 issues with it, but they respond right away to any requests that you send them, and they'll ship you parts to anywhere in the world. So
Yeah.
it's been, and talk you through the fix on the phone too. So it's been good.
Yeah.
We should wrap it up.
Yeah. All right, Island Man. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Island Man.
All right. Does anyone have any other questions?
Last call for questions.
Last call for questions. Anyone? We're happy to answer literally like anything. So throw it out there if you have any questions for us. I think our connection's unstable.
Yeah, I think our internet's starting to come and go. Well, hopefully you guys can still hear us.
Yeah. We really enjoyed this. Honestly, we were a little skeptical about.
We didn't know how many people would join us and if we picked a good time or not. It worked out really good. Thanks for all the questions. It was super cool chatting with everyone.
And yeah, we have like lots of good things coming up. Oh, how's our dive compressor?
Compressor has been really good, but I baby that thing like it's the most important thing on the boat. So I'm constantly inspecting it, changing the oil, adjusting it, and just making sure that it's running good, because when we need it, we really want to use it.
Yeah, definitely.
So Starlink, yeah, you do have to stop.
Is that Emily and Clark's refrigeration system? It is not.
Emily and Clark's
in the Bahamas.
I don't know. They might have the same one.
Oh, they might. Yes, they might have the same one. We don't know if it's Emily and Clark's. Are they in the Bahamas? I think they are.
The guy's name is Rich Boren that owns the company that does the refrigerator that we have.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Hannah. Maybe on like making sure we can get into New Zealand. That would be really great.
Thanks, Mom. Miss you. We'll see you somewhere down here. We'll
hit the like button. Thanks, Dane. Oh, Drew, we're glad you like.
Yeah, we'll try to do another one. It's tough when we don't always have good internet, but it works out good when we do. So
yeah, we really like it. Oh, Siren Song. Oh, that's really actually cheaper than I thought it would be.
$99 a month isn't too bad.
Yeah.
More expensive than our data plan, but it will work in a lot of places that our data plan here won't work. So
yeah, that's good.
Cool.
All right, you guys. Well, this was awesome. Thank you for joining us. Like I said earlier, we knew it was like football and things, but we're so glad so many of you could stop by and say hi. And we're really excited for things to come. Yeah. Transiting the canal is something like we dreamed of, and we never thought we would actually be taking one life through there. So we have lots of good stuff to come. And yeah.
Thanks for all of the support.
Yeah.
And the questions and the comments.
And maybe we'll do like a live chat when we're on the other side in Panama City. So, all right, you guys.
All right.
Good night.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.